Hi, I'm Liz and welcome to my channel, Creating Inner Beauty. Today I'm here with a full walkthrough of the beautiful Serpentfire Tarot. A couple of weeks ago I posted an unboxing of this deck when I received it. I do stock this deck in my online self-care and beauty shop, and I had received it and I was going to go through it and definitely take one for myself to use with clients and then the rest for my shop. So I did want to go through and do a full walkthrough because I've been so impressed with this tarot deck and I feel like I've really connected to it for a couple different reasons. One, it immediately started wanting to work with clients. So the very next day after I got it, I was doing some readings and it wanted to come out, and the messages were really beautiful. The imagery was very good for triggering my intuition and letting very clear messages come through. And it was just really lovely to work with in that way. And then also I did a little card pull for myself, and I don't actually usually pull my own cards for the most part, but I think it was perhaps the full moon or something, and I decided to do like a little mini reading for myself. And when I do a reading for myself, I tend to use the guidebook, whereas when I'm working with clients, I don't do that. I don't really feel the need to do that. I'm usually more channeling messages. But when I'm reading for myself, that same thing doesn't quite happen. I have a general sense of what the cards are telling me, but I really like to tap into the guidebook for that. And I felt like when I pulled the cards, I immediately got a very clear message just from the cards themselves, which is sometimes unusual when I'm reading for myself. And then what really got me was when I went to the guidebook and I found the messages in the guidebook so on point, so beautifully written, and also gave me a lot of things to think about and to journal about. So I feel like this deck is really good both for use in readings, but also as a deck you can use for self-reflection and exploration. So today I wanted to go through all of the cards. You can get a good look at them, as well as maybe pull a card and read you the message for the guidebook so you can get a feel for the guidebook as well, and see if you are as impressed with it as I am. And so just a little quick review of the box, and then I'll set that to the side. This is what the box looks like. It's quite sturdy, has this beautiful design on it. Oh, it's upside down. Here is the back with some of the card images. And this is the limited 7th edition 78 card tarot deck and guidebook, and it's borderless. And let me just show you the inside of the box real fast. Oh, I know why. It's because I put it on wrong. Okay, and then the inside of the box looks like this, with the Eye of Horus and this beautiful saying: "Awaken now to your desert dreamscape. Look within and find the gentle language of your spirit. This vision quest is yours and yours alone, the alchemical path of air, fire, water, and stone. Take strength from the energy, find solace in the lessons, hear the wisdom of the sages passed down through the ages." Okay. And then these are the backs. And as I was mentioning in my other video when I unboxed this deck, I really like the backs. I love the colors in it and the slightly ancient Egyptian motif, which is carried on throughout the cards. Now, I actually thought I would like the She-Wolf deck better, which is the other deck by the same creator, and the creator is Devany Amber Wolfe. And it is a very beautiful deck. I just haven't had a chance to use it quite as much. And I was a little surprised by how immediately I took to this Serpentfire Tarot deck instead. So we'll see how the She-Wolf goes, but so far the Serpentfire has actually been a little bit more my favorite. And as you can see, it does have this really nice gold gilding. The cards are really nice, thick cardstock. It feels very sturdy. I don't really riffle or rifle shuffle. Typically I overhand shuffle, so that's not really like a concern for me. So let's go through the deck. And so we have the beautiful Fool, and I do love the colors in this card, in the whole deck, just the color palette in general, but particularly this card is, I think, lovely with these like soft oranges and yellows. And we have the unicorn leaping here with a little bit of magic at his horn. Here's the beautiful magician. And I think I was reflecting on this card in my other video, and it's interesting because I feel like you can interpret it both as her sending out energy and receiving it from the universe, and sort of this idea of co-creation and having the energy within, and then having the universe meet you with it in what you're creating in your life. And also really loving the color scheme. The High Priestess. That's a beautiful here with the triple moon. The sense of going through a gateway into the mysteries. And one of my very favorite cards, and I mentioned this last time as well, Cleopatra. Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra, as the Empress. I just feel like this is so on point. Who could not love Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra? Well, that beautiful costuming, and then just Cleopatra as a historical figure is basically my favorite. If you don't know much about her actual history, I really recommend looking it up. She's a very interesting historical figure. Here's the Emperor. Now, this isn't necessarily my favorite image, but I really do like the colors in it, and I like the sense of this calm, masculine energy that radiates from the card. That's kind of what I take from this. The Hierophant. And we have less of a traditional image here and more about, feels to me like an image that's reflective of tapping into ancient wisdom and your own internal knowledge and your intuitive knowledge. So it has that sense of tradition by the fact that it's sort of by ancient teachings, ancient knowledge, but it's less in a structured, institutionalized way, which I think is really lovely. The Lovers. We have sort of this duality here, the light and shadow wolves. All of this energy kind of coming in. It feels, this portion feels reminiscent of the angel and the lover, the traditional Rider-Waite Lovers card, but very energetic, less that traditional way of depicting an angel and more that energy of divine love, unconditional love, angelic support. And also sort of the duality of the wolves and the symmetry of the wolves feels to me like that idea of choices, which also comes with the Lovers card. The Chariot. I love these ancient Egyptian statues here. This beautiful sun. It feels very tied to solar plexus energy for me, like the colors in it. That sense of like will and charging forward and movement. And we see all the movement here and the design in the background. Justice. And we have, I believe this is a seated Isis figure with the wings, if I'm correct. Otherwise, it's a representation of Mot. But definitely we have the feather of truth here, Mot's feather. So weighing things, balance, karma, right action. The Hermit. This is a really I really like the patterns here in this card, and there's a sense of like going internal here. I can't tell you exactly, I can't pinpoint exactly why, but to me it feels like reflection. Oh, and also like these two, the card is symmetrical but reflecting away from one another. So it kind of feels like going inward and looking at what's being reflected to you. Wheel of Fortune. And we have this snake energy here. We have the sense of the wheel turning and some movement. Also spirals relate to the goddess, but also like the healing journey and the spiritual journey, that it's not linear, that there's sort of this spiral that you take throughout life. Strength. And we have these panthers here roaring. We have the astrological symbols. This feels a little bit less like the gentle strength feeling I get from a traditional Rider-Waite Smith deck with the woman sort of taming the lion. This feels a little bit more assertive to me because of how these panthers are like growling or roaring out from the card. So it feels like a strong statement around taking a stand, setting boundaries, finding that inner strength, and expressing it in some way. So I like that different take on the Strength card. We have the Hanged Man. Super interesting color scheme here. I like it with the pinks, the teals. And we have this figure, and she's upside down, definitely getting a different perspective. This feels like that aspect of the Hanged Man to me, as opposed to the pause or wait or stuckness, stagnation sort of aspect that the Hanged Man can bring up. This feels very much about perspective. Death. I really like this Death card because I find it very not scary, which I think is good for reading with clients who might be newer, yet it's very evocative. I love the idea of sort of going on this journey up to the white light, ascension, change, transformation when you go through this sort of gateway into the light, but there's less of a feeling of an ending and more of a feeling of an evolution to me. And I like that energy with the Death card. Temperance. Kind of finding that balance. And once again, we have the light and shadow wolves. Now they have wings. So it's just kind of cool. It feels like there's healing energy coming down through the crown of her head. And these feel representative of the chakra system as well. So like strong healing energy in this card. The Devil. And once again, I like this Devil card because it feels, it's just very interesting symbolically, but it's not particularly scary unless you have a really strong reaction to snakes. We have the pentagram here, which to me kind of speaks to the devil as being the representation of coming from older pagan religions and the misinterpretation of the devil, so that it's not necessarily something that has to do with sin, but more just a more earth-based, primal, physical experience of life, as opposed to disconnected from the 3D, disconnected from the physical, from the primal. So that's what this card is speaking to me. And yes, there's a little bit of danger here in these cobras, looking like they're considering whether or not to strike. You know, we have to find balance between our primal urges and what's good for us and what's good for society. But there's less of the feeling of bondage here, in my opinion. Okay, the Tower. Once again, beautiful, beautiful card, lovely color scheme, very non-scary, non-threatening. Because I know when I get the Tower card, I'm always like, oh, what's going to happen? And I have clients who feel similarly. But with this card, there's sort of a tranquility to it, despite the fact the Tower can bring a lot of change. And, you know, the building here, the castle or tower or whatever you want to consider it, isn't on a stable foundation. So it's sort of floating in the sky. So no surprise if it ends up not being the most stable thing and falling apart. Yet there's all of this like beautiful energy underneath it. And it feels like if the tower does fall apart, there's something to rebuild with and a beautiful vista to look forward to. So I find that a soothing interpretation of that card. Okay, the Star. We have this star energy up here, this female figure. She's nude, she's open-hearted. Healing is coming in. We have all of these spirals here down at the bottom. We kind of talked about the healing journey before. That's what it's bringing up for me. The Moon. Kind of going through this beautiful gateway. I love the art here. You know, maybe overcoming some fears, looking at what they are. We have Anubis here at the bottom, guarding this gateway. So moving sort of from a dark space, from our shadow, into the light of the full moon. The moon is illuminating what it is that we need to know, what fears we might need to face, and then helping us move into the light. The Sun. Beautiful warm energy in this card. Once again, a lot of solar plexus energy to me. We have the light and the shadow. Wolves, and now they're winged. And I like how the wings are, like the white wolf has the dark wings and the dark wolf has the light wings. So there's balance here, enlightenment, warmth. Judgment. I think that's a really cool image. It's less like ancient Egyptian-y and goddessy and deserty as some of the other cards, although we still do have the Eye of Horus up here, but I like the color scheme. And we have this person's brain being shown, and it's illuminated with all these sparkles. So it's kind of just making me think of, you know, discernment and how do we think about things and what lessons do we take from the experiences that we have, and looking for those little bits of gold that we can take from every experience, or those little sparkles we can take from every experience, and using our judgment to move forward in that way. The World. And we have this seated female figure. I think it looks female. Somewhat ambiguous. And it looks like she's holding this illuminated orb in her hands. We have the cycles here, as represented by the moon cycles. A sense of completion and of, just being able to pull everything together and hold it and look at it, everything you've experienced. Okay, so those were the majors. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. And I'll try to go through the minors a little faster. Okay, so we have the Ace of Wands. We once again have similar, very interesting. So in the World, she is looking at this orb of energy and light here. And then in the Ace of Wands, I didn't even notice that before. In the Ace of Wands, we have that same orb here kind of being presented. And it's that beginning of the suite, the beginning of that energy coming in. Two of Wands. Interesting. I like the lightning here. We have that feeling of energy coming in and creativity and change, inspiration coming in. I don't know what I think about this figure with the horns here. It's definitely very interesting. But we have the moon sort of illuminating in the background. I might go back and look at that card and see what the guidebook says later. Okay, Three of Wands. This feels to me like considering what it is that you've put out into the world and what you're waiting to receive back, and all the different layers of that. And I like how it's like the colors come together. Four of Wands. And I don't know who particularly this figure is here, but this is clearly a real person. Just kind of like looking out, standing on these crystals, looking ahead. I like the dress she's wearing. So a feeling of celebration, of looking to the future, of seeing what you want to create. Five of Wands. Kind of coming together here. This image has a frame around it, so kind of creating a boundary around something. That's what's kind of jumping up to me right now. Six of Wands. So this is clearly also a real person. And she's riding the horse, kind of like in the Rider-Waite-Smith. The person is riding the horse to victory. Here she's riding this horse through water. I'm pretty sure this is Ra, the sun god here at the top. So there's a lot of that solar energy coming in. It feels like a Six of Wands card. Seven of Wands. Eight of Wands. Nine. These beautiful leopards, I believe. It looks like we have buffalo here. That's interesting. 10 of Wands. We have this eclipse energy here. I think this was one of the cards that I pulled for when I did the reading for myself, and I really liked what the guidebook had to say about it. Page of Wands. So we have this like firework here, illuminating this darker landscape. This figure ready to move forward with inspiration. Knight of Wands. Yeah, that feels like a Knight of Wands. He's riding the lion. He's open, passionate, energetic, maybe a little impulsive. He's receiving this inspiration, this illumination. Queen of Wands. She's directing the energy here, creating. We have this lightning strikes at the bottom here. King of Wands. Kind of feels like he's grounding the energy now. Like he's getting this inspiration. There's this snake here, so it might be a reference to the Kundalini awakening. But it feels like a very grounded experience. Okay, let's go into cups. Ace of Cups. We We have this female figure. She's nude, lying backward, very open-hearted, vulnerable. We have this energy coming in at the top, like these rainbows here. And I'm not exactly sure what these symbols are. Something to look into. We also have a little bit more blue and green and water feeling energy in the cup suite now. Suit. Huh. 2 of Cups. So once again, a duality here. It's a very symmetrical card. It looks like they have this sort of intense connection where they're staring at one another. 3 of Cups. 3 people sort of coming together. It does look somewhat celebrational. Is that a word? I think I made up a word. That's okay. They look like they're celebrating, or at the very least coming together, pulling all their energy together to create this ball of light, which I think is interesting. So community, connection. 4 of Cups. This looks sort of like very tranquil. I believe it's supposed to be like a desert oasis, because the desert here is inside. We have the Great Pyramids in the background, but it's very green around the water. And 4 of Cups, can be rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, going inward, meditation. 5 of Cups. So we do have the spilled cups here, 3 spilled, but 2 still standing. The figure does look, it's cloaked in dark colors and darkness, maybe a little bit of sadness. She's looking down. Yet we have a lot of brightness here and this like beautiful sky and kind of like rainbow situation, comets coming in. So it feels like there's hope for the future in the background. 6 of Cups. This has a very female energy to me. This looks like a yoni sort of symbol, as well as a flower symbol. It feels like there's almost like this air energy and this water energy coming together, this feminine and masculine coming together. I'm getting less the interpretation of the card as being like childhood or nostalgia, and more about sort of this balance and creation for whatever reason. I don't know if that resonates with anybody else, but that's what I'm feeling when I'm looking at this card. 7 of Cups. So we have the 7 cups here, many choices. She's kind of looking in one direction, but there's a lot here to look at. Which will she choose? 8 of Cups. So we have these stairways here, this journey up into a light enlightenment, or to this like beautiful sun energy at the top. We have these 2 figures that are in the river, it looks like, and they have their hands up. So I don't know if they're feeling like they're drowning or if they're just about to spring out of the water. So that's kind of up for interpretation as to what's going on. But the way forward is pretty clear. Like if they can just get to the stairs, they can move forward. I think that's an interesting interpretation of the 8 of Cups. 9 of Cups. And I like this card because it's kind of like, 9 of Cups is, I believe, the wish fulfilled card. And we have this genie lamp on this kind of cool nightstand looking situation. And we have the magic coming out of the genie lamp. So you're about to get your wish. 10 of Cups. So we have emotional fulfillment. We have this pregnant woman. She's giving birth to this new energy, this new life. She has this very serene look on her face. There's a lot of water energy, emotional energy in the background with the ocean. Page of Cups. This figure is sitting, thinking about how to move forward, maybe connecting to her feelings. I like the contrast of the oranges and the purples in this card. Knight of Cups. We have these two figures in this very like open-hearted pose. Stretch again. This feels a little phallic to me. Definitely feels like a masculine energy in some way, and an energy with movement, but not quite as much movement as the Knight of Wands had, which I think is appropriate for the Knight of Cups. Queen of Cups, we have Frida Kahlo. Beautiful picture here. This artistic, sensitive, intuitive person. I think that's a really nice representation of the Queen of Cups. King of Cups. I think this must also be someone, but I don't recognize that person. We have it looks like two horses here, two sort of hawks or birds or eagles. I'm not exactly sure what they are. But this, once again, feels more grounded and earthy to me than, for example, the Queen or the Knight. So the King pulling together the energy of the suit. Okay, Ace of Pentacles. I think this is a really cool image. We have sort of this spiral galaxy star situation. This feels like some sort of like Mayan pyramid or temple. Two of Pentacles. We have this, looks like a female figure, but she has the body of a snake, which is kind of cool. So this energy coming out of her hands. I think that must be Jupiter in the background. So it feels very like warm and earthy. Three of Pentacles. We have this goat energy here. The Great Pyramids in the background. I associate the Three of Pentacles with like teamwork and community. Which is sort of interesting. I mean, I guess it took a lot of teamwork to build these pyramids. The goat and the figure, you know, animals, livestock help us survive. I think there's some connections there. Interesting to explore. Four of Pentacles. I think this is a really cool card. I love this figure and sort of this Artemis or Diana representation. Focused. We have these strong structures here. This very solid foundation. So to me, this Four of Pentacles feels less like holding on to something too strongly and more about like creating foundation, creating what you would like to see, creating a structure. Five of Pentacles. We have this sort of same idea of a window as we might see in a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but this card feels much warmer to me than that card. It's kind of like she just has to turn around and walk through this window or this gateway, and she'll be like on a very solid path. Six of Pentacles. We have this figure in water, which is interesting. We have this like star and this energy around. I don't quite get the sense of like giving and receiving or charity that I might get from some other Six of Pentacles cards. I'm getting more of a sense of like rebalancing, because you've been washed clean, you've let go of old energy, you've been almost like reborn and ready to step into being able to both equally give and receive. Somehow that's what I'm getting from this card. Okay, 7 of Pentacles. Interesting, she's sort of like floating in space. So there's a sense of like stillness and patience here, which I think is common to the 7 of Pentacles. We have these like stars that are in the background. And it sort of feels like she'll get wherever she needs to go if she just like lets go and floats there. Okay. 8 of Pentacles. I like the colors here. 9 of Pentacles. So this very like strong female figure standing firmly on this desert sand. Her third eye is illuminated. Ten of Pentacles. This feels very abundant. We have this pentacle in the background, the open hands. It feels very like solid and fulfilled. Page of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. I feel like that's a great Knight of Pentacles with these horns, a lot of like earth energy, in this like beautiful garden-y type situation. Feels very solid. I think that's my favorite Knight so far. Okay, Queen of Pentacles. She looks fabulous. Beautiful adornment here in this dress and these robes. They're just so like lavish, very like earth-based and luxurious and material, but in a beautiful way. And she looks kind of like she's in charge of nature. King of Pentacles, once again, very grounded, solid, masculine energy with this, looks like he's standing in a gemstone or something. Okay, and we have our last suit. Ace of Swords. 2 of Swords. There's a sense of sort of like, where do we go from here? What pathway? I'm a little bit undecided. 3 of Swords. We have these 3 snakes at the bottom. This figure is kind of contorted as if they were in pain, and there's kind of this shadowy figure in the background. It's a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie, but interesting. I like it. 4 of Swords. 5 of Swords. There's a sense here, it's a beautiful female figure in this collar, which is really pretty, but there's also a sense of, I feel like lack of fulfillment somehow. I don't know if it's expression on her face, but it's almost kind of like, what now? 6 of Swords, looking ahead to better horizons. It's beautiful. 7 of Swords. Yeah, there's something about how like pointy these designs are with these kind of creepy eyes, and makes you think about like, what are you not seeing? And then we have some astrological symbols here. Interesting. Okay, 8 of Swords. We have this female figure in the center. She's sort of veiled, it looks like. And we have these snakes. You know, how does she get out of this situation? Nine of Swords. I think this is very interesting for the Nine of Swords. I usually think about that as like anxiety, sleeplessness, worries, but there's a lot of like this very like fertile flower energy up here. It does kind of look like a dreamscape. So I feel that connection, but it doesn't feel very like anxious to me. Ten of Swords. We have these snakes coming in, and then this spiraling energy again. Feels a little bit like you don't want to get caught in this situation, which I guess also resonates with the Ten of Swords energy. Okay. Page of Swords. A lot of illumination, ideas up here. Knight of Swords. We have these feathers, this air energy. Queen of Swords. She's definitely in her head with this like solid structure representing her head. And then King of Swords. All right. That is the full deck. I think I'm going to take a look at, what did I say, the Two of Wands. I'd like to see what the Two of Wands says, and then I'm going to pull a card. So Two of Wands. There we go. So Mars and Aries. So the horns here might be representative of Aries. And it's, the keyword is, or the title of this card, let's say, is the Master of Fates, which makes sense for the Two of Wands. The keys are combative energies, demanding balance, and channeling. Interesting. Upright meaning, a horned, faceless woman stands atop a hill at dusk. Lightning strikes all around her. There's a formidable power to this card, and its implications are strong. There may be tension and conflict due to the dynamic energies at the present time. In order to channel the energies properly, we must demand balance and be as centered as possible. At this time, it is advised to not allow any forces, human or otherwise, to come and disturb this precious balance, lest conflict arise. So, you know, staying focused on what it is that you want to bring forward to manifest. Shadow. You may be feeling off balance. The active energies at work here require grounding. Visualize yourself as an ancient tree with deep roots down to the center of the earth. No storm can bring you down. And then the mantra associated with this card is, I am the calm within the storm and the master of my energy. So I think that's really lovely. I think you can kind of see from this how the messages are really strong, and this would be a really nice guidebook to use if you're pulling a card for yourself and you want a message. This mantra that you can use throughout your day or throughout your week to stay focused on the energy that you want to bring in. So let's pull one more card and then we'll wrap up. Let me give this a shuffle. And I think, you know, for example, with that Two of Wands, that the guidebook entry gives you some things that you could definitely write about if you wanted to journal. You know, are you feeling balanced? What is it that you want to create? How are you using your power of manifestation? This card. So we have the Eight of Cups. Let's take a look at that one just as a secondary example, and then we'll wrap up. I'm curious to see what it says about the figures in the water. 8 of Cups. Saturn in Pisces, labyrinth. The keys are maze, stagnation, sinking, lack of clarity, emotional blockage. So the upright meaning is 2 sets of arms emerge from cloudy waters. A stairway is within reach, but it doesn't appear to lead to the inviting gateway above. The gateway represents completion, accomplishment, and reaching our goal. We are experiencing the sinking feeling which accompanies defeat. We have little energy to complete the tasks at hand and begin to let ourselves sink. It is time to pull up our socks and stop indulging in lethargic ways of thinking. This may be related to health, relationships, or career, and it needs to be addressed directly. So very straightforward message there. No playing around. So some strong guidance from this card. And with the shadow, it's you may be finding your way slowly but surely out of a mental swamp. The journey is hard won. You may be overcoming a very old pattern of behavior which has been dragging you down. Keep at it. So the shadow meaning of this card, if it were to come up reversed, is actually in a way the positive meaning, because Eight of Cups can be considered a card that's a little bit more difficult, so that's interesting to see. And then the mantra is, inspiration lies deep in my heart. So I think that's really beautiful. Like, I can see myself using this guidebook in addition with the cards to get a lot of perspective for myself, which I think is really interesting. And because I'm not able to do that with all decks and guidebooks. And yeah, so that is a Serpentfire Tarot. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, a little lengthy, but I wanted you to be able to see all of the cards in their glory. And as I mentioned, it is something I am stocking in my shop, so that link is down below, and there's 15% off with your first order and free shipping. I'm curious to see if this deck resonates with you. Feel free to leave a comment below, and if you'd like to see other deck walkthroughs, other readings, energy work, discussion of spiritual topics and self-care, please feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a lovely day.